Sorry, Charlie.
Hey everybody, Sheriff Bob Johnson, Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. I want to speak to you a moment about a video that's on YouTube involving two of my deputies on a traffic stop. And before I get into it, first and foremost, I want to apologize to those two ladies at the way the officers acted. Their actions were totally inexcusable, and we do not tolerate it here at Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. At this time, they're being punished, but not only that, they're going to receive extensive retraining. And I just want the citizens of Santa Rosa County to know that we don't put up with this at Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. We're a transparent, professional law enforcement organization with 390 sworn officers. When something happens like this in Santa Rosa County, I take full responsibility for it. These two deputies work for me, and I can guarantee you the problem will be corrected. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? How you doing today? What's going on? Who you just saw there was the sheriff of the county. And the officers in this video, he is their boss, apologizing for their behavior. What you're about to see is FRAUDit, the ultimate FRAUDitor on YouTube. This guy named Audit, who's a fence-riding status cuck. He wants to ride both sides of the fence, but it's obvious he leans towards force and aggression against peaceful people who haven't damaged or done anything to anybody. He believes in victimless crimes. He believes police have the authority to do whatever's written down by any parasite politician in corrupt court, regardless of what it says in the Bill of Rights. And you're going to see that demonstrated very well here. That just threw me off. You're going to see it demonstrated very well here by how he rates this video versus the way I rate this video. I'm going to be pausing it. These are Rice Krispies relatives that are the one that's being stopped, and the one that stopped ahead of her stopped because she's following her to her new house. Well, these guys in these costumes with guns on the side of the highways that we pay for decided that she's not allowed to be on the side of the highway and start bugging out immediately. And guess who defends their actions?
December 18th, 2021, Deputy...
Link to the original in the description if you don't want to hear my commentary.
Carlos de Sousa Jr. of the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office in Florida pulled over local driver Ms. Boone for allegedly having an invalid license. Ms. Boone had been following her sister, Purple Heart combat veteran Ms. Shelley, who also pulled over about 50 feet ahead of the traffic stop. After both vehicles stopped, Deputy de Sousa approached the passenger side of Ms. Boone.
See, already, to me, he's already skipping one of the problems. Why do guys in costumes get to impede our freedom on the side of the highway over a piece of plastic or over a piece of paper? FRAUDit the Audit has no problem with the fact that someone's freedom can be impeded while they're doing nothing but going in a straight line and try to travel from point A to point B. He never brings that up in any of his videos, ever. And in the time he has, for the one time, he called the person in the video a sovereign citizen, citing the hate group Southern Poverty Law Center.
Vehicle.
Go! Get out of here! So already this cop is butthurt and scared that someone might care about a passing motorist. In my opinion, if you want these traffic stops to stop and stop them from extorting between $4 and $7 billion from us every year, every time you see a cop, you should pull over, stop, point cameras at the cops, get it to the point where what they're doing is embarrassing. They know it's embarrassing. They know what they're doing is basically roadside racketeering, because these two women have done nothing to nobody, yet the guys in the costumes with the guns are going to escalate force.
They can go.
That window doesn't at all.
They need to leave.
Huh? My sister.
They're gonna leave.
For what? What am I being pulled over for?
161 Santa Rosa.
What's the issue, sir?
I'm explaining to you in a minute, ma'am.
Okay.
Another tactic they use, always stalling. She asked why she's being stopped. Why can't the dude answer?
Want to roll me another unit, no more response.
Calls for backup because a concerned citizen and her relative is worried about her sister and her sister's child, or a child, whoever this child is.
I'm stopping you to see you. They're not stop. They're not part of my traffic stop.
Nor are they in your traffic stop or near your traffic stop. They're a good distance away from your traffic stop, not interfering with you in one bit. Again, these are the things Fraud at the Audit doesn't even say.
Okay, let me finish.
Following her.
That's okay. She can pull up down the road and wait. She's not going to stay here.
She could pull up so far down that she can't see what you guys are doing to her relative. Because we're supposed to trust the guys who kill 3 people a day, don't know any of the laws, especially the ones they use the most, and bend, twist, and lie in their narratives and their police reports, and fall on the blue line at all times, except for the chief in this case, which is amazing. Hats off to that guy. But we're supposed to trust you. And they keep on with this narrative that police are credible and trustworthy when it's common knowledge now that that's not true. And yet, again, I don't hear Fraud at the Audit saying anything about this.
Wait, she's going to leave. It's not open for conversation debate.
She's going to leave. Yes, her taxes pay for these roads. Yes, she's not doing anything to anybody. Yes, she's worried about her relative from the biggest gang in America that's got her freedom impeded right now. But she still needs to leave. Because this is my traffic stop. He pulls the donut operator, Mike the cop. This ain't your traffic stop. It's my traffic stop. Well, if it's not my traffic stop, why am I here? If I'm not part of this traffic stop, let me leave. And you can sit here by yourself and talk to the trees. This is my traffic stop too. My life's the one being affected. You're the one impeding my freedom under threat, duress, and coercion. Nobody can argue that point. It's under threat and duress. Why you pull over. Otherwise, they will escalate force on you. And if they let you leave, they'll just show up at your house. You're never, ever, ever going to be outside the threat of their violence against you for plastic cards and paperwork. That's why they think they can do all these things. And guess who agrees with them all? Someone who hasn't said a word yet.
With one person, ma'am, I'm dealing with one person. I'm not dealing with more than one.
She's not dealing with you. She's making sure
She's staying right there.
is okay.
You're saying
Now he's twisting the narrative. Where you at, Fraud at the Audit? Twisting the narrative, I'm not dealing with 2 people. You were never dealing with 2 people. You have yet to make contact with more than one person, adult anyway. And all you're probably doing right now is scaring some kid to be scared of the police when they grow up, because you guys do and enforce victimless crimes. But guess who's for these things?
she's fine.
She's being illegal right now.
I promise you she is.
What is she doing? Now?
She's being told to leave because it's a traffic stop. Right now, this is something I'm doing.
No one told her to leave. Now there's your lie. Again, Fraud at the Audit, where you at? How come you're not calling this lie out?
She's to leave.
Deputy D'Souza claims that Ms. Shelley is not allowed to park her vehicle on the shoulder of the highway during a traffic stop and that she must leave immediately. Courts generally give police officers wide latitude to control traffic stop scenes and take actions they deem necessary to protect their safety. For instance,
Courts give the cops wide latitude. The courts, not the Bill of Rights.
in the 1972 case of Colton versus Kentucky, the Supreme Court upheld a disorderly conduct conviction against a citizen who refused to leave a traffic stop when an individual he was traveling with was pulled over, holding that the police could require the citizen to move on, even though, quote, he was not trespassing or disobeying any traffic regulation.
So they can order him to do something even though he had every right to assemble under the First Amendment, every right to record the thing under the First Amendment, every right to redress his grievances under the First Amendment. He wasn't doing anything illegal, but this court, this is the source he dug up. This court said they can, so they can. No, they can't. Marbury versus Madison, any case that's unconstitutional on its face is not to be enforced or abolished immediately. I'm not going to go digging and wasting time trying to fake convince you that this ruling has anything to do with freedoms and the core American principles in this country. She's not doing anything wrong. She's assembled on the highway she pays for, waiting for her relatives to be extorted on public property for doing nothing to no one for a victimless crime. That's the truth of the matter.
The court reasoned
It's about raising money, nothing more, nothing less.
quote, the state has a legitimate interest in enforcing its traffic laws, and its officers were entitled to enforce them free from possible interference or interruption from bystanders.
The state has a legitimate interest in enforcing traffic laws. Yeah, it's called $7 billion. And its officers were, its officers, the state officers were entitled to enforce them free from possible interference or interruption from bystanders. That is the biggest crock of crap on its face. Who are we kidding right here? How are you going to bring this up as a legitimate source? This is unconstitutional on its face. How do you not see that, Mr. Investigator Researcher?
Even those claiming a third-party interest in the transaction. Courts have reached similar conclusions in
Transaction. That's a pretty key word right there.
cases involving third parties filming traffic stops. For instance, in the 2014 case of Guerrica versus Begin, the First Circuit stated that, quote, the circumstances of some traffic stops might justify a safety measure, for example, a command that bystanders disperse, that would incidentally impact an individual's exercise of the First Amendment right to film. Such an order, even when directed at a person who is filming, may be appropriate for legitimate safety reasons.
Okay, that should be void for vagueness because the First Amendment says we have the right to assemble, and as long as we're not hurting anybody or victimizing anybody or injuring anybody, you can't use safety as an excuse to override an inalienable right. And this should be void for vagueness. Objection, objection, objection.
Likewise, in the 2012 case of ACLU of Illinois versus Alvarez, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals concluded that, quote, it goes without saying that the police may take all reasonable steps to maintain safety and...
It goes without saying that all, again, void for vagueness. The word reasonable, who gets to decide what's reasonable? Because I haven't seen a reasonable cop in a long, long time. So again, that's erroneous right there. Objection, erroneous, unconstitutional, void for vagueness. Who gets to determine what reasonable is?
Control, secure crime scenes and accident sites, and protect the integrity and confidentiality of investigations. The police may order bystanders to disperse for reasons related to public safety and order and other legitimate law enforcement needs.
Legitimate law enforcement needs. That means that gives them another blanket term to do whatever they want. They'll say, I had a legitimate law enforcement need. My life was in danger. Disorderly conduct. Contempt of cop. Jaywalking. Anything, fail to ID. They have a million laws against us, but don't know the first 10.
Given the strong deference courts typically give to police orders given for officer safety, it is likely that a court would determine that Deputy D'Souza was within his authority to require Ms. Shelley to leave.
No, he wasn't. She pays for the roads. She's not committing a crime. She's allowed to stop on a public highway she pays for. She's allowed to wait for her relative. She's allowed to assemble. She's allowed to have free press. And she's not doing anything to anybody. So who cares what the courts say? That means nothing. The courts are corrupt. And that's why everyone should be doing this on the roads. Not only just your relative stops for a relative, but anytime a cop has someone stop, pull up from a safe distance, start recording, and asking, what are you doing this to her for, him or her for? Are you just trying to steal their money? Embarrass them. This is an extreme thing that's only done in police states, that you get to just impede the freedom of travelers over pieces of plastic. Was she being unsafe? Was she endangering anybody? Did she hit somebody? Did she trespass? Did she damage property? If not, you should have the freedom to be left alone in this country. It's called freedom for a reason. Again, you heard their own sheriff apologizing for their behavior, but FRAUDit the Audit here, who has co-opted the auditor movement and probably made so much money it's disgusting. That should go to real auditors, that money, not you. And all he's doing is blowing fluff up your ass. Listen to the stuff he's digging up out of the dirt. Unconstitutional, vague nonsense. She has the right to be there, period. End of story. Every cop should respect that. And if he fears for his life or whatever situation it is, that's why they made donuts. They used to have square donuts, but they made them round for officer safety. If he feels unsafe, like they do every second, call back up and have him watch the car, period. Don't start acting like a Karen in a costume.
You're the owner of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can I see your license?
Another piece of crap right here.
I want them to go. So I'm trying to get people to go.
Ignores her, stays on the blue line straight ahead.
Hello, can you just go, please?
That's my sister and my niece, so I'm just gonna stay here until
I need-
they're released.
I need you to leave. If you can wait up there, I think.
It's a couple.
Can you just go leave the place you're allowed to be perfectly within your rights that you pay for through your gas taxes? Could you leave that spot, please?
Okay,
I'm not obstructing traffic.
I'm asking. So you're obstructing this traffic stop. So can you just?
There's another lie. Where you at, fraud at the audit? She's not obstructing anything. That is a lie. Period. Where you at?
See, there's a parking lot up there. Please just go up there.
I'm going to.
There's a parking lot up there where we can't see you and you can't see us, and then it's your word versus our word, and we don't know if my family member's safe with a bunch of armed gunmen who don't know anything about being just normal men and regular people. All they know is their robotic blue line Scientology, and that's it.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine.
She'll be fine says who? Why would I trust you? You guys kill 3 Americans a day. You steal more from the American people than all burglars combined. You don't know the laws, and you could care less about the Constitution and your oath. So you saying she'll be fine amounts to not even a hill of beans.
Okay, so now I am telling you. I'm not asking you. You need to go.
Now you must lick my boots and do what I say regardless of the oath I took.
What law am I breaking?
I'm telling you, you need to go.
asking you what-
Because it's not safe for you to be here.
Why is it not safe?
Because.
Another lie. Again, they just don't want her there because they're cowards. That's 3 lies so far that fraud at the audit has skipped over.
All right. Are we going to play
It's
All right, can I have your ID? Can I have your ID?
Oh, now I need you to surrender your 4th Amendment right. And I guess who defends this action too?
Am I being detained?
You are now.
What am I being detained?
Because now I need to identify you.
What am I?
Again, another lie. You're being detained because I need to identify you. Where you at, fraud?
I need to identify you.
Deputy Crawford tells Ms. Shelley that she is being detained and is required to show her identification. Section 843.02 of the Florida statutes, which defines the offense of resisting an officer without violence, states that, quote, whoever shall resist, obstruct, or oppose any officer in the lawful execution of any legal duty.
Lawful execution. She has the right to assemble, the right to free press. She's not anywhere she's not allowed to be. Why do you keep skipping that over that part?
Without offering or doing violence to the person of the officer, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor of the first degree.
So, the sheriff of these morons on this traffic stop apologized for their behavior, while Audit the Audits, who's supposed to be fair, is saying that she could be arrested for what she's doing, sitting peacefully waiting for her sister to be extorted on the roadside.
As the United States District Court in the Middle District of Florida explained in the 2005 case of Davis versus Williams, quote, Florida courts have upheld convictions for violations of this statute where a person was arrested not only for yelling at officers, but for refusing to leave an area where the officers were engaged in a legal duty, and where the officers considered that person's physical presence to constitute an obstruction or impediment to the performance.
Where the officers constitute an obstruction. Again, officers are not reasonable, and how do they get to constitute someone's presence being an obstruction or an impediment? That's not the definition of those words. She's not impeding or obstructing them in any way. Quite the opposite. They're impeding and obstructing them two from going about their day when they didn't do anything to anyone. The part of reality that fraud at the audit, it keeps skipping over.
Of their duty. In the Davis case, the court concluded that an officer had probable cause to arrest an individual who approached 2 deputies while they were conducting a traffic stop, spoke to them, and refused to leave after being told to do so at least 3 times. The officer.
Oh my God! So he doesn't have the right to assemble and free speech? So his First Amendment isn't valid just because they arrested him for it, regardless of what the First Amendment says?
Argued that this, quote, interfered with the traffic stop by not allowing them to complete the citation, by causing them to turn their backs on the driver, and by...
That, again, they make their own actions at their own free will and then blame the other person for it. Now, Audit the Audit is defending the rapist mentality. If there's two of you, one can face the one person and one can face the other. Again, where are you digging up this garbage from? It's such garbage. You support the most unconstitutional garbage in the world.
Creating a situation that caused them concern for their safety. While Ms. Shelley remained in her vehicle, her presence arguably diverted the officer's attention. And
Her presence arguably diverted the imbecile's attention because they have ADD and they're very low IQ and don't know much about anything except their blue Scientology cult. Other than that, they don't know much. So if they get distracted, it's like distracting a mouse with the bell. Basically, you need to clear the state and evacuate away from every traffic stop so that they can only hear the wind blowing and the leaves rustling while they steal your money on the roadside. Again, this co-opted fence riding status cuck Audit the Audit is such a fraud. It's disturbing. I bet you he's either a cop or his dad's a cop or he's in a family of cops because, again, the own department sheriff apologized for these cops' actions while Fraudit the Audit here is defending their actions and saying that they could have put a woman doing nothing to no one in jail lawfully, which is a bunch of horse crap.
Caused concerns for officer safety. So it is possible that a court would conclude that Ms. Shelley was resisting by refusing to leave. Under Section 901.151 of the Florida statutes, quote, whenever any law enforcement officer of this state encounters any person under circumstances which reasonably indicate that such person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a violation of the criminal laws of this state.
Reasonably. Wait to see how reasonable this cop is.
The officer may temporarily detain such person for the purpose of ascertaining the identity of the person temporarily detained. Therefore, if a court decided that Ms. Shelley was resisting by refusing to leave, it would likely also determine that Deputy Crawford was within his authority to identify her.
Her Fourth Amendment has disappeared because I have dug up a bunch of unconstitutional garbage statutes that were passed by government parasites who that don't correspond with the Bill of Rights one bit. So they must be legal, right? Right.
Refused because you chose to stay in this situation. So now
You chose to stay in this situation. I chose to freely assemble, as my rights say, on the roads that I pay for within my private property. I'm not bothering anybody. Now he's saying she did something. Again, this is the rapist mentality. She's done nothing to no one, and he's saying she's causing this. When in fact, in reality, it's them causing the whole situation from start to finish. The only thing these two have done is had their freedom impeded and are sitting in their car. Everything else happening is from the cops. Simple as that. Remember, their own sheriff apologized.
now I want your ID. So now I want your ID. And if you refuse to give it to me, then we'll go sit in my car.
Then I'll threaten to kidnap you. Again, she's not obstructing or doing anything to anybody.
Okay?
What law is that?
By not providing, you're failing to identify to a law enforcement officer, okay?
But I have to identify if I'm being detained.
Yes, because you...
Then you have to...
So listen, I'm not playing this game. I'm going to come over...
I'm not playing this game where I have to know the laws and you don't, and I do, and I'm a law enforcement officer and don't know the laws, but you do. I'm not playing that game. We always lose that game, and we just say I'm not going to argue because we don't know the actual laws that we're paid to enforce.
Get out of your car.
Now he needs her out of her car. Again, Audit the Audit sees no problems with any of this.
Sir, you can call your sergeant.
You can get out of the car.
Call your sergeant. I would like a supervisor, please.
You can get out of the car right now, or I can help you out of the car. Or you can just give me your...
You can get out of the car. I'm going to force you to get out of your car for simply sitting in your car peacefully.
Assault, because I've not broken
It's not
the law.
assault.
It is assault. She hasn't done anything to anybody. You put your hands on her. You're nothing but a person who's assaulting another person. She hasn't done anything to anybody. You're the only ones escalating this.
Impeding this traffic stop.
How am I impeding?
Because it has nothing to do with you. I asked you to leave.
She's not impeding anything. You're acting like this because she didn't lick your boots for you the way everybody else does.
The only reason why I pulled over over is because my sister does not know my new residence, and
I
she
told
got
you
pulled
you could go,
over.
and I told you could go right up there in that parking
What?
lot. Okay, you both have cell phones.
What is the problem?
Because now you won't identify. First, you won't do a simple thing I asked you
I'm
to do.
telling you, I'm her sister.
First, you won't follow an unlawful order when you're doing nothing to no one and being peaceful and completely innocent. So that hurt my feelings. Audit the audit, where you at? Now, you won't surrender your right to privacy. You're all kinds of problems to a status cop.
And I know that that's what she has told him by now.
Okay, that has nothing to do with what's going on back there.
Okay, and I'm not interfering with you doing what you men have to do.
No, you are by
No, she's not. There's their fifth or sixth lie now.
stopping here. He does not want you here because now
He does not want you here. That's the bottom line. Their feelings are hurt. Their egos are fragile. They're scared of anything that moves, blades of grass, whatever it is. And this is how they act, like morons, escalative, forceful, aggressive morons.
Why?
because he has no idea what you're going to do. You don't think we dealt with situations where the person in this car all of a sudden I don't know that.
Military.
I don't give a. I don't give a. And now
He doesn't give an F if she's served the country 100 times better than he has. He has his costume on, his ego's inflated. She's not following his arbitrary, garbage, unconstitutional orders. And she doesn't understand that he's the powerful one and she's not. And he's going to slam the door into her to prove it. And guess who's going to defend his actions?
now I'm getting mad because we have no idea what your intentions.
Okay, I will pull up, but I will be calling the police department. I would like your badge number.
I'll give you my card.
Please,
Okay?
please do.
I've been so nice. I gave you multiple.
No.
I've been so nice. There's lie number 7. Audit the audit. Where you at?
You're cussing at me, and you're
Yeah, because I'm done with you.
rude.
Yeah.
So you want to cuss at me? I can
Because
cuss at you.
You all day long. All day long.
That I have not been rude to you. I was sitting here.
And I have not until you started refusing. So I still need.
And I wasn't mean, angry, and threatening to kidnap you and violate your right to privacy until you stopped licking my boots. You have to lick my boots at all times. Just ask Audit the audit.
ID.
But I was
I need your
asking
ID.
you what you were
I need your
detaining
ID.
me for. That's it.
I need your ID because you
Why?
chose, because you're interfering with this. We don't want you.
Another lie. She's not interfering with anything. Their own sheriff apologized for their garbage behavior. But guess who's defending their garbage behavior? Ultimate fence riding state cuck. Audit the audit.
Here. It's not.
I will comply with your
Thank
ID
you.
request, but
Great.
you are not going about this correctly.
It's all on film.
Good. Hi, I'm glad.
And we'll see
I'm glad.
how it escalated to this because of your non-compliance.
No, it,
She escalated when she's doing nothing to no one. She escalated it. Again, the rapist mentality. And where's Audit the audit to jump in here? That is the rapist mentality, blaming her for doing nothing wrong. How dare you sit in 50 feet in front of our car while we extort your relative? Who do you think you are? But other people, that's what they're ultimately scared of, is that other people are going to start stopping, and it's going to be even more dangerous for them to steal money on the roadside. But they can't stop doing it because they're stealing so much money now that their existence relies on it.
did not escalate because
sure
of my
did.
non-compliance. I asked you questions, you refused to answer, and you
I
are
did answer.
supposed to answer them.
No, you didn't answer. You lied over and over again and cops-plained.
You did not tell me what I was going to be detained for. You did not tell me why I
For
needed
failing
to
to-
identify myself.
For failing to do what we asked you to do. So now
But
you're
Oh, what's the statute on that, Fraudit? Failing to do what I asked you to do.
to
On
be
a
here.
public
Now I
road,
need to make sure that
holding
we
a
are safe.
shoulder.
I have to make sure that we are safe. As if the only people in danger are these 2 women and a child. Again, then he reverts back to the officer safety. The only people in danger are the 2 women and the child. And people who think like Fraudit the Fraudit.
I was doing absolutely nothing wrong, and I'm allowed to be on a public road.
You're not allowed to impede
I'm not impeding.
because
I'm
you
sitting
stopped.
in my
No, she's not. You're a liar and you have the rapist mentality, and Audit the audit defends it.
Stop.
I didn't get out of my. You.
There, tries to slam the door on her disrespectfully. Now he's going to claim that he's trying to help her. Another lie. And guess who's going to defend it? And look how far he has to dig to defend this officer's actions. You think he's biased towards police?
Shut the door for your own safety. All right, fine. Do whatever you want.
For your own safety. And he's trying to shove it on her even harder. And then he's going to say he's trying to help her. You guys see, plain as day, Anyone that has two brain cells to rub together, he's trying to slam the door on her face because he's a butthurt pig who could care less about freedom and the American core principles. All he cares about is what government parasites unconstitutionally have written into the law that somehow supersede the Bill of Rights. And guess who defends it?
I'm done with her.
Ms. Shelley eventually decides to give Deputy Crawford her ID. And as he turns
Under threat, duress, and coercion, she surrendered her right to privacy.
to leave, he attempts to shut the door. Ms. Shelley prevents the door from closing, and Deputy Crawford briefly attempts to force her door closed, quote, for her own safety, end quote, before giving up and walking away. As the Supreme Court explained in the 1976 case of Katie versus Dombrowski, in addition to their duties to enforce the law, police officers also serve, quote, community caretaking functions, which allow
Community caretaking functions. Another unconstitutional garbage that Audit the Audit has dug up to justify the violence you just saw the cop trying to commit against a woman. It wasn't for her safety, and you're about to hear some garbage out of this guy's mouth. By the way, the voice you hear on his videos is not him.
to take actions that are, quote, totally divorced from the detection, investigation, or acquisition of evidence relating to the violation of a criminal statute in order to protect citizens. A prime example of one of these functions is a welfare check, where an officer may take warrantless action, such as detaining an individual or entering their home to ensure their safety. As the First District Florida Court of Appeals recognized in the 2021 case of Taylor versus State, quote, welfare checks fall under the community caretaking doctrine, which recognizes the duty of police officers to ensure the safety and welfare.
Castle Rock versus Gonzalez says cops have no obligation to protect anyone. And then let's revert back to the Bill of Rights again. Secure, right to be secure in my person's, houses, papers, and effects.
Of the citizenry at large. Under this judicially created doctrine, law enforcement actions that might otherwise violate the Fourth Amendment can be found lawful when they occur in connection with an officer's community caretaking functions.
Another excuse police can use to violate the Fourth Amendment, and look who's defending it.
However, community caretaking does not give officers a free pass to violate the Fourth Amendment, and the Taylor
Don't worry, the blue line will take care of the rest.
Court explained that, quote, because searches and seizures conducted in connection with welfare checks are solely for safety reasons, the scope of an encounter associated with a welfare check is limited to prevent the exception from becoming an investigative tool that circumvents the Fourth Amendment. For example,
Which is exactly what it does.
in the 2016 case of State versus Fultz, the Second District Florida Court of Appeals held that, quote, given Central Florida's temperate weather in November, an open door at 8 o'clock in the morning, without more, cannot justify a warrantless entry based on a feared medical emergency.
Yeah, because cops are going to think, hey, according to the tempered weather in Central Florida, the door could be open this time of day. It makes sense. Because that's what a cop's thinking when he gets to a door and scared out of his mind that he might get shot for entering someone's house. Again, how about using some common sense and reality?
Or the community caretaker function. If Deputy Crawford was truly attempting to close the door out of concern for Ms. Shelley's safety, his conduct was likely a valid exercise of community caretaking. However, Ms. Shelley was also within her rights to prevent the door from closing and keep it open.
Garbage, 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 pig poop coming out of your mouth.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. I'm Sergeant Nix.
Hi, Sergeant.
So I watched the interaction. So from the start, you aren't allowed to be stopped here.
Yes, she is. Honor your oath. She's free to assemble on the road she pays for. She's free to wait for her relative, and she's free to watch over and or record her relative or any stranger and the public servants in the course of their duties. So F you, that's complete garbage. If you follow actual law and go by no victim, no crime.
You are interfering with any kind of investigation.
Another lie. She's not interfering with anything. Again, here's the blue line Scientology cult in action.
You can be detained at that point too.
Another lie. She shouldn't be detained for anything. She's well within her rights, guaranteed under the Bill of Rights.
And identified as a person. You cannot just stop on the side of the road for somebody else to stop, even if you know her.
Yes, you can. She's doing nothing wrong.
Your brother, son, you can't do that.
Sergeant Nix approached Ms. Shelley's vehicle, cordially explained the deputy's reason for ordering her to leave.
Cordially explain why they can make you do things that supposedly you have the right to do under the Bill of Rights.
Gave her a business card and informed her of the process for filing a complaint. He also briefly conversed with Ms. Boone and assured her that the body camera footage would be reviewed. Although Ms. Boone was not allowed to drive her vehicle, the traffic stop ended without anyone...
So they wouldn't even let her take her own car over a piece of plastic or paperwork or something. Again, the audit, you believe this is how a free country operates? Her freedom's impeded. They're probably terrorizing their children see guns, they get scared. They terrorize her sister, and then they don't let her use her own property to get around. And if her sister left, she would have to call her and wait on the side of the road for her sister to come back. This is sick, man. How can anyone defend this crap?
Being arrested. After footage of the incident was circulated on YouTube, Sheriff Bob Johnson of the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office,
which he doesn't play the video. This is the video that was in the front, the first thing I played in the video.
Issued a statement apologizing for Deputy D'Souza and Deputy Crawford's behavior and assuring that they would be punished and extensively retrained. Because of this incident, both deputies were ordered to complete 4 40-hour courses for a total of 160 hours of paid training, focusing on how to handle traffic stops. Deputy Crawford will also be required to take,
according to you, they didn't do anything wrong,
an additional class on professionalism and dealing with citizens. Overall, the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's deputies get a B- because
a B- for being complete cowards, not honoring their oath, using vague, erroneous, void for vagueness, unconstitutional on their face traffic garbage over a piece of plastic, impeding 3 Americans' freedoms, and threatening force and violence and kidnapping. He gives them a B-. This guy is a bootlicker through and through. Their own sheriff apologized for their actions, but Audit the audit gives them a B-. You're sick, dude. Please debate me. Live debate whenever you're ready.
Though they were likely within their authority to order Ms. Shelley to leave the scene and detain and identify...
They were likely within their authority under which constitution? Which constitution are you reading there? Fraud at the audit?
By her for refusing, they failed to properly de-escalate the situation, maintained a rude and unprofessional demeanor, and improperly invoked the community caretaking function of their authority. There is no denying that the deputies were right about the legality of their orders to leave, and...
Garbage. No, they weren't right. She has the right to assemble on the road she pays for. That's moronic to even for that to come out of your mouth.
Authority to detain and identify Ms. Shelley. And there is a...
More garbage.
Legitimate argument to be made that the deputies could have lawfully arrested her. All that said,
even more garbage. They could have unlawfully kidnapped her for being assembled on the road she pays for, waiting for her family from the biggest killers in America. That could be said.
Just because an officer's conduct is lawful doesn't necessarily mean that it is ethical, logical, or productive. Rather than engaging in a heated debate with Ms. Shelley and ultimately forcing her to comply under threat of arrest, one of the deputies could have simply stood by her vehicle to ensure that she was not a threat, as another deputy carried out the traffic.
Oh, really? What a good idea. Maybe they should get an F for not just doing that in the beginning. Again, where do you get a B-? You're basically saying they did a good job with room for improvement. Oh my God.
Stop, which is ultimately what they decided to do anyway. Unfortunately for members of law enforcement, dealing with angry and frustrating citizens is a major aspect of their duties, and possessing the ability to maintain a professional attitude in any given scenario is a necessary skill that all officers must develop in order to establish and
very few have.
Cultivate a positive relationship with their community. As mentioned earlier, the courts often grant officers a considerable degree of leniency to do whatever is necessary to ensure their safety while operating within the bounds of their authority and the law. And just...
This is like Audit the cops plane right here. Anyway, he gives them a B-, and then he gives her a B-. The woman who was doing nothing to nobody, waiting for her relative to be extorted by gunmen on the side of the road, he gives a B- to. She did nothing to no one, regardless of what obscure, erroneous, void for vagueness, garbage, unconstitutional crap you've researched. It's all a waste of time, because when it all comes down to it and there's another revolution, if there is, all that crap is going to be firewood, plain and simple. You're going to go back to the Bill of Rights, and that's how it's going to be. That's how it always is going to be. You are a statist. You believe in violence against peaceful people. You believe the cops have a right to kidnap this woman for doing literally nothing wrong to no one. She didn't obstruct. She didn't impede. She didn't do anything. Period. She was well within her rights. All right, everybody. There's your fraudit, the ultimate frauditor on YouTube, Audit the Audit. He is a statist. I guarantee you he's either a cop or he's very close to cops in his family or something. There's a reason he doesn't use his own voice. There's a reason you don't know what his face looks like, and he's always wearing a mask when he does interviews. There's a reason he doesn't use his real name, and there's a reason he rebuts videos on a second channel instead of this channel. He doesn't want his 1 million+ followers to see something like this. Anyway, whenever you're ready for a live debate, you let me know. In the meantime, John's Coin Rings, please support a brother, still demonetized. Might be talking to a lawyer about that. And I'll have some updates and a flashlight giveaway soon. And I'll tell you what the first lawyer response was, and we'll go from there. All right, peace, tranquility. Recognize that Audit the Audit is a joke and a statist. Their own boss says he's embarrassed by them, but Audit the Audit saying they're lawfully within their rights to kidnap her and do all these things to her. Get the hell out of here, dude. You're a shame. You're what's wrong with America that you think any of this stuff is legitimate. All right, everybody, peace.